This will be 180. State your full name for the record. My name is Mark Hill. What is your middle initial? I do not have a middle name. Where do you reside, Mr. Hill? I reside on South Bayview Boulevard. How long have you resided at that place? About 10 years. Before today, have you ever testified at a deposition? This is the first time for me, but my wife has given testimony before. I was just about to ask you whether you were married. Yes, I am. We have been married 17 years. Do you have any children, Mr. Hill? We have one daughter. All right. What is your occupation? I am a sales representative. Do you remember September 4? Yes, I do. That was the date of my car accident. What time of day did that accident take place? Around 3:45 in the afternoon. Were you driving your own automobile? No, I wasn't. I was driving my employer's car. Were you on company business at the time of the accident? Yes, I was. I was on my way to interview a potential customer. Where had you been immediately before the accident? I had just picked up my wife at her place of employment. Where is she employed? She teaches at the Bayview High School. What subjects does she teach? English and math. Was she in the automobile when the accident occurred? Yes, she was. All right, where did this accident take place? It took place on the Lincoln Expressway near the Water Street exit ramp. What direction were you going? I was going south. Were you north of Water Street? I was a little past Water Street. Give me an estimate of how far. It was about 2 blocks past Water Street. That is where the collision occurred. Is that correct? That is correct. About how long had you been traveling on the Lincoln Expressway before it happened? I don't recall. Just give me an approximate time. I would say about 15 minutes. You were not wearing a seatbelt, is that correct? That is not correct. Was your wife wearing her seatbelt? We both were. What kind of an automobile were you driving? It was a 2000 Ford four-door sedan. A 2000 what? 2000. How was traffic that afternoon? It was moderate. I understand from the police report that you had intended to turn off on the westbound expressway. That's correct. But that you had not yet arrived at the exit ramp. How far would you say you were from the exit ramp when this collision occurred? Approximately 3 to 4 blocks. Were you familiar with that expressway? Yes, I was. How many lanes of travel were there for southbound vehicles? 3 lanes, and then there was an exit lane. What lane had you been traveling in at the moment of impact? The far right lane. Had you previously been traveling in the lane immediately next to that one? Do you mean before the accident? Yes, sir. I had been traveling in the lane that is contiguous to the exit lane. How long had you been traveling in that position prior to the accident? Several miles. How fast were you traveling? The speed limit is 50 miles per hour. Had you exceeded that speed limit? I'm not sure. I was keeping up with traffic. If they were exceeding the limit, so was I. Was the expressway a straight and level road? Yes, it was. Visibility was good. Well, it was raining, was it not? A little bit. Did you have your windshield wipers on? Well, I had them on intermittently. Visibility was impaired to a certain degree, was it not? Not as far as I'm concerned. How far could you see ahead on that road? There wasn't any fog. Please answer my question. How far could you see ahead under those weather conditions? I don't know. All right. Did you have your radio on before the accident occurred? I don't recall. Were you talking to your wife just before the accident occurred? I don't remember that either. Is it possible that you could have been talking to her? It's possible. Were you looking in her direction at the moment of impact? No, I was not. At that particular time, prior to the impact, you were in the lane that is contiguous to the right lane. Is that your testimony? When you say prior to the impact, what do you mean? Is there anything that confuses you about my question? I don't understand the question. You had been traveling in that contiguous lane for a short time, is that correct? Clarify what you mean by a short time. Well, a short time means within a matter of seconds. No, I wasn't. When did you move your automobile into the right lane? Approximately 2 blocks back. With that expressway speed and with those weather conditions, how long would it have taken you to stop your car? I would assume I could have stopped in 25 to 50 yards. The driver of the Buick was Mr. Smith. Is that correct? Correct. The Smith automobile was in the farthest right lane, wasn't it? Correct. Was there a vehicle in front of the Smith automobile? Yes, there was. It was a pickup truck. You moved past that pickup truck and then moved into the right lane. Is that an accurate statement? No, it isn't accurate. I was already ahead of it, and then I moved into the right lane. Then you came to an immediate stop. Is that correct? That's correct. And when you came to an immediate stop, that caused a collision between your car and the pickup truck. Is that correct? That's correct. And then the Smith automobile collided with the pickup truck. It was a chain reaction. All right, just before your vehicle moved into the right lane, how far ahead of the pickup truck was it? Several car lengths. You stopped your automobile suddenly when you got into the right lane. Isn't that right? I did that because the expressway traffic in front of me had unexpectedly slowed down. You had seen that traffic before you moved your automobile into the right lane. Had you not? I don't know what you mean. Well, before you moved your vehicle into the right lane, you had seen the traffic ahead of you in that right lane. Is that an accurate statement, sir? That's accurate. You were compelled to stop your car because of traffic conditions. Is that right? That's right. And that is what caused the chain reaction, I suppose so. What was the situation when you moved into the right lane? I looked over my shoulder and put my signal on. State your full name for the record, please. Mark Thomas Hill. Do you have an alias? I don't understand your question. I am inquiring whether you have another name that you changed for your surname. No, I don't. You are the plaintiff in this action, is that correct? That's correct. Why did you bring this litigation? I was hurt in a car accident, and it was the other guy's fault. As I told you before, we have started this deposition. I represent the defendant. Have you ever testified in the past? Yes, ma'am. Was that at a trial or at a deposition? It was a deposition. Why were you being deposed at that time? Well, there was an automobile accident in 1996. Who brought that lawsuit? My attorney did. I see. What was the outcome of that lawsuit? They settled the case. So you know something about giving testimony, don't you? Not a whole lot. Well, you are under oath, just as if you were testifying in court. I understand that. You have to respond with an oral answer to every question. You cannot signal by nodding your head or shrugging your shoulders. I remember that. Be sure you understand each question. If you do not understand something, please let me know. Yes, ma'am. I remember all that advice from the last time I testified. How old are you, Mr. Hill? I'm 47 years old. Where do you reside? I reside in an apartment on Maple Street. How long have you lived there? Approximately 8 years. Are you married? No, ma'am, I'm divorced. Did you and your former wife have any children? No, we didn't. Are you employed, Mr. Hill? Yes, I am. I work at an agency for juveniles. It's a private treatment center for children and young adults. We get our referrals from the juvenile court. What is the name of that agency? We call it The New Beginning. How long have you worked there? About 10 years. How much education do you have? I have a master's degree in sociology. Please don't be insulted by my next question. It's just routine. Do you have a criminal record? No, I don't. Have you ever been in the military? I was in the Army for 3 years. That was a very long time ago. I understand that. I'm just trying to get your background. Did you receive an honorable discharge? I certainly did. Do you belong to any union at the present time? No, I don't. Have you ever been laid off? I was laid off from my last job because the agency closed down. What kind of an agency was it? It was a juvenile agency.